Hey everyone, and welcome back to Timeless. Today we're here with a new deck. Well, it's hard to call Green Black Rock a new deck or a novel idea, but it is a deck that has certainly fallen off in Timeless after MH3. It's really fallen down the power rankings on everybody's tier lists, and since Blue Black tempo seems to be really good, I feel like Sultai is something that we can revisit. We can take lessons learned from Blue Black. We can play a lot of these really tried and proven amazing cards in the format, like Psychic Frog and Bowmasters, and we could support them with some very known busted green cards like Deathrite Shaman, Oko, Uro, and we can build a proper mid-range deck. Because mid-range is kind of dead in the format right now. The only mid-range decks are ones that are kind of just abusing scam elementals left and right, and I'm like, yes, of course we have Reanimate Grief in our deck, but we're at least trying to play 3 drops like Oko and trying to play the long game with cards like Wight of the Reliquary. Wight is a card I'm actually really excited to build around. This is a really underplayed card in my opinion. It's very powerful. It's a new one from MH3 and it never like truly found a home in this format. And this is my best attempt to give it a home. We're doing a lot of things to give it a home. What this card does is it enables creatures to die, and it enables your graveyard to get filled, and it enables ramp. So when we sack creatures, fill our graveyard, get some ramp, we can play a card like Uro. Uro is a fantastic finisher in this format. I've been quoted recently as saying Flage is a bit better than Uro, but Uro is still an absolutely busted card, and it is a card that you can prop up your deck with. We also have a lot of creatures that are fine to sack to Wight. Like, for example, we're playing Bowmasters so that we can sack away the token. We're playing Grief, so what you can do is you can evoke a Grief, and then with the trigger on the stack, you can sacrifice it to Wight of the Reliquary, go ahead and grab a land, and accelerate yourself really quick. You have a lot of cards in this deck, like Psychic Frog, that demand removal, so in response to a removal spell, you can just sack it to get a land. This is an instant speed ability. You can do it whenever you want. This card also has Vigilance, so you can attack and then sack. Like, they really made this card as good as possible. So we're going to try to use and abuse it as much as possible. And if we have a card with an ETB, like Grief that we sack, we can, of course, reanimate it to double up that ETB, which is always super fun. And we're playing Once Upon a Time, famous busted green card, which is hopefully going to help with the consistency, help us hit our really busted 2 drops like Psychic Frog and Wight really consistently. Like, I really think this is a Frog plus Wight deck. This deck does amazing things if you can curve like Deathrite Shaman into one of these two, into a second copy of one of them, or maybe a Bowmasters. Like, these cards go crazy. It goes crazy in multiples. They all demand removal spells, which is awesome. And I think this might be a really good attempt at building midrange. So one last reason why I think this is an awesome midrange deck is because we're playing Wight, we can actually play Field of the Dead. We could play a Field of the Dead package. So we have our 4 copies of Wight, almost 7 with Once Upon a Time to dig for it. And we can use this card to tutor up Field of the Dead late in the game. So Field of the Dead does have a bit of a steep requirement in Timeless. When you're playing a fair deck, it requires 7 lands. And with Wight as our only source of acceleration, it can take a long time to get there. But I was testing a little bit, and I already had games where I was playing against like Rakdos Scam. We both went into top deck mode, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna ramp to a Field of the Dead and start making 2 zombies every turn. And what are you gonna do? And the answer was they could not do anything about it, even though they drew a 1 ring and killed my whole board. So this is a really sweet interaction. This is also my attempt at a Field of the Dead mana base. I did try to vary up the mana a little bit. What I did is I played one of the fast lands at each color. I don't know if I'm a little lost in the sauce doing that, but hopefully it'll help enable us to get to 7 different land types. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I built a Field of the Dead mana base, and like you don't really build fair Field of the Dead mana bases too often. So maybe like this Dark Slick Shores really just should be a watery grave, and I should just be more careful with how I fetch. Um, but this has already looked pretty good. It's already looked pretty good to me. I was a little further lost in the sauce before, trying to put like snow basics and stuff to have a little more variety, but it's hard to play basics in a 3-color deck, especially one that's going to ask for green, blue, blue out of you and when you have a bunch of black 1-drops. So onto the sideboard, this is standard timeless stuff. Against unfair decks, we're going to have 8 discard cells between the Thoughtseizes and the Griefs. We're not main decking the Thoughtseizes just because we already have Grief. That's enough. We don't want too much discard game 1 against something like aggro. And we have 2 surgical extractions to go ahead and complement them. So we're going to rip our opponent's win condition from their hand and take it out of their deck. We also have Pithing Needles for all sorts of unfair matchups, also for 1-ring decks. Notably, this is a mid-range deck without the 1-ring. I'm trying to play Uro instead of the 1-ring. We'll see whether or not that's a good idea. And then we also have Endurance as one little copy to play against graveyard decks. What's really cool here is that we do have a bunch of sideboard cards for aggro as well. We have Toxic Deluge, which is an absolute all-star against energy. We got the Meathook Massacre. I'm going to try to sub in Harvester of Misery for Grief. This is a card that I thought was really good before MH3. Unfortunately, it fell off a little quick because a little bit because like aggro decks got so much faster, so much better, where this card feels a bit slow. But we're still going to go ahead and try to play it in our sideboard at least. And then I played one Abrupt Decay in my last sideboard slot. This could be used as a way to counter sideboard cards if opponent drops a Rest in Peace on you. This could also be used against like the blue-black frog decks, just like blow up a frog with uncounterable on it, which is pretty sweet. No counter spells in the sideboard. I kind of waffled back and forth on whether or not I should have like Mana Drain, Spell Pierce, Stubborn Denial, one of those in the sideboard, and I ended up saying no, because other than Bowmasters, we're a tap-out deck, and yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe one of the really esteemed blue-black tempo mages can chime in, and they could build a version that plays a little bit more counter magic, and that version could be better than me. But this is more or less my proof of concept here. I think Wight plus Field of the Dead is awesome. I think we're going to win some games with this interaction. I mean, I hope we do. Otherwise, I'm going to look like an idiot. All right, I think it's enough yapping for me. Let's go ahead and get to some games. All right, game one. We're going to play against Kiwi's Lethal. Solaris deck, so it might be energy, might be an aggro deck. We do have a Fatal Push for that deck, which is pretty cool. This hand is a little bit late on action otherwise. Like I said, I really love the hands where we have a 2-drop, like Psychic Frog or Wight, or something like Deathrite Shaman. This hand's like almost a mulligan, because we don't have a way to abuse this grief. I think we're going to keep it anyway, because we're going first. We're going to have a turn 3 Oko on the play. We have a Fatal Push to answer whatever threat they have that might attack our Oko. And hopefully Oko can take over the game. Perfect draw would be a 2-drop, so that we can curve out. If we have something like a Psychic Frog or a Wight that we draw, or Bowmasters, then this hand is like pretty perfect. I'm going to go ahead and play basic here, just so that I'm free to use my fetch for whatever I want next turn. So I'm going to have to get blue mana for Oko, and I might or might not want to Surveil. Ooh, my first spell of the game, you say? All right, I would love a 2-drop, like I was saying before. Oh, my 2-drops. All right, I'll take a Surveil land then. All right, go ahead and Surveil here. I will still keep the 2-drop on top because we can play it the turn after Oko at this point. And that is good by me. Or we could use it to evoke Grief in case my opponent's Solaris deck ends up being a little funny and we need to hand hate them. But you generally don't need to discard the Laris decks. We're going to sideboard out the Griefs against aggro. At least that's my plan. Sideboard out the Griefs, Toxic Deluge, Harvester of Misery, Meat Hook. Those cards come in. Looks like opponent's on Mardu Energy just with a bit of a slow draw. Okay, very slow draw then. I would love to play Oko, the Thief of Crowns. And then Oko's going to die to a 1-mana Static Prison, and it's going to remind me why people don't play this card. You know what I could do is I really could grief them to take like any Oko removal that they have. I don't know if that's going to be correct. Because if they have a Static Prison or something that is really good against Oko, so like there's an argument to like pitch Bowmasters and just grief them. I don't think I'm going to do that. Actually, what are you going to do? Oh, you're going to play your own Bowmasters? Yeah, okay. I mean, do we want to grief him? I don't think so. I think we want to save this Fatal Push. Because we'd either have to throw the Fatal Push or the Bowmasters under the grief, and I'm very interested in using both of these cards this turn. Ooh. Deathrite Shaman energy. Very cool.
Why do you cross me?
Why do you cross me? Alright, hopefully Oko gets to do his thing. If they have a bolt here, then, Oko didn't do anything. He made a food. I made the bolt. Yeah, Oko made a food.
I grace you with my lack of...
My lack of presence indeed, Oko. Okay. I think we're gonna Fatal Push Deathrite Shaman now, so they don't get a chance to untap with it, and then we will flash in a Bowmasters. And then next turn we'll grief him. Don't want to let them untap with Deathrite Shaman. It's kind of a screwed up card if they do get attack steps with it. We're going to have to shock here, which is a little painful, but we're still at 20, so we're doing okay. So go ahead and shoot the Amp Trap here, and I think I'm cool to just like trade the whole board against energy. Just keep the board as empty as possible. Trade, trade. Another Bowmasters. Okay. Yeah, ping my Bowmasters, save yours. Hey, just ping me and let them trade. Okay. That's cool by me. Amulet, yeah, so they'll get some card draw going soon. Ooh, reanimate. Okay, so we can reanimate their Bowmasters. You can reanimate their Deathrite. I'm actually kind of interested in that. If I could reanimate Noko, I would, honestly. I'm gonna play Boseiju and oh, never mind. I thought I had enough black sources to grief and reanimate in one turn. It's not bad. That's why I played that Boseiju. I should have really held it. That's okay. Or played Sanctum because it's gonna be a tap land. We're gonna grief them first, be mana efficient. Yeah, we're gonna want to take. Wow, those are two screwed up cards. I think considering they have multiple Bowmasters, we want to take Nightmare. Those are two very good cards for them to have. Those or their late game cards. I wonder what we want to do here. I'm either reanimating their Bowmaster or their Shaman. I'm trying to decide which. Shaman is like a really good card that you can rely on in longer games. Yeah, with them hitting Bombardment, I don't think we can even resolve Bowmaster anymore. I mean, we could resolve it, it'll just die to a ping. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and reanimate their Deathrite Shaman that's in the graveyard. Oh, they also let me trade off Grief here. I'm gonna trade it. I don't want to grief them again because that's a dead draw in their hand right now. 2 bombardments is redundant. Oh, but a second reanimate, you say? A second one, you say? I think we can use the first one on a Bowmasters then, and then the second one can get Deathrite back. Is that real? No, I think we just get Deathrite back. Bowmasters will very much just die to pings. And if they ping this to death, I'm just going to reanimate it again. We'll go ahead and eat our food here and gain a little bit of life. We're in a top deck war. You would think my deck can win a top deck war. But they do have access to Luris. Ooh, that's a good draw for them. That's a great draw for them, actually. So now that goes away. They do have to pay energy upkeep. Oh, no, they don't. Because they can just let it pop and they get it back. It's their shaman, right? Yeah, yeah. Oh, well. So what are my options? I can just get the Bowmasters back. I might try to do that. They can also put Luris into their hand here, so they get to go Luris mode soon. If we had a Field of the Dead, that would be dope. We could get that turned on. I think I'm gonna grief their Luris here. Even though 4 life is a lot to pay right now. If they have a green source to fetch up here, then it's GG, I believe. Maybe we could take one more draw step and draw something like an Uro. So they could just Deathrite Shaman that too. If we draw Field of the Dead, we get a lot of board presence. Yeah, they had Temple Garden. Okay, I wasn't sure if they had the actual green source. Some people don't play it. Let's give it one more draw step. If we draw a Field of the Dead, it could be pretty cool. But I think we're pretty dead no matter what. Because, like, Uro can't even hit plagues. They're going to have multiple Deathrites guarding the graveyard at this point. They're going to be able to, like, Luris replay Chthonian Nightmare, Static Prison. It does not get better for us. I'm going to give myself one more draw step, though, because we're playing with a new deck. We're trying to learn about it. You're going to go looping already? I mean, sure, loop your Bowmasters. It's good. Okay. Oko, not enough here. Now we can see why we call Oko a bad card sometimes. Alright, what we want here. We want Deluges, we want Harvester, we want Meat Hooks, we want an Abrupt Decay. And then what we want less of is we want less Griefs, and then I think we also just trim the Reanimates, just because they are a little bit painful to play with, and then we run it back like this. I'm maybe thinking about Needle for, a Johnny Bombardment Chthonian Nightmare. Don't know if that's worth doing. Right, on the play. We do have Deathbright. We do have, I mean, we have some tap lands, but we do have 1 into 2 into Uro, which is fantastic with a Meat Hook Massacre to help back it up. So let's go ahead and start with the Shaman, and hopefully it lives so that we could jam Wight on the following turn. Otherwise, we have to deal with our tap lands. Alright, Dueling Shamans, you got it. Alright, ooh, another mana source. I'm going to keep that on top of my deck so that they don't use it. Now we have, like, the very, very awkward Dueling Shamans moment. So what we could do next turn, which is super cool, is we can play Uro and then sack it to Wight of the Reliquary, which is pretty interesting. Sack it with its own sack trigger on the stack. And that'll help ramp us and then hopefully get it back. Yeah, Unstable Amulet, sure. Right. Go ahead and crack this. Grab a island here. Gonna hold full control. Actually, let's go to combat first. Hit you for 2. Full control. Sacrifice the arrow. I think I might have wanted to let that draw trigger go through first. Do we want to get Field of the Dead into play right away? Yeah, just in case my Wight gets hit by a removal spell, we can get Field of the Dead into play now. So we have it for later. Love saving things for later. Nah, we want to play as many frogs as possible. We have mana for double frog next turn. We also have mana to wipe the board with Massacre. Alright, this is a good game too against Energy. This is showing what the deck's supposed to do. No, I do not want you to have that mana. No, thank you. I can't use the mana, but I just don't want them to have it in case they have a lightning bolt or something. Okay, look at their top. If they play a bunch of like 1 and 2 drops, I'm gonna meat hook on 2 next turn. If they don't, then we could just jam some frogs. We don't have cards in graveyard to get Uro back, and Deathrite Shaman is unfortunately going to keep the graveyard on lockdown. Maybe we could have cut Uros? I'd like to believe that Uro gaining us life is good against aggro, though. Okay, here we're probably just going to wipe their board. We're going to lose our own Deathrite here, but I'm fine with trading Deathrites. Alright, yeah, play another 2-drop, or they might get rid of Uro. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Alright, so let's go ahead, add some mana. Oh, now you're gonna die. Oh, never mind. I think I have ways around this. Alright, add mana. Sacrifice Shaman before Meat Hook hits the battlefield. Oh, you know what? I think there was a way to very intelligently. I'll explain it after I finish, but I think I had a way to get one more ping out of that. Soren on top? Soren's a fine keep on top. And then on 2. Okay, so what I could have done there that I didn't do is I could have cast Meat Hook Massacre on 2, and then in response to the -X trigger, I could have sacked Shaman to Wight, and I would have pinged them for 1 more damage. Very minor thing. But we're ahead by so much. We have a Meat Hook down, we have our crazy 2-drops in play. We draw a land, we start making zombies. This is great. This is straight up great. Alright, but my opponent is rebuilding their board just as fast, though. Wow, yeah, they're rebuilding fast. We don't have the ability to fly our frogs, so I think I might just play Soren and do a little extorting, you know, as they do. I will play Soren. And then I will play Deathrite Shaman, and I will pay Extort.
Pretending they know how to fix everything.
And then we might want to play our other frog, too. Just get it on the board. We might end up sacrificing this second frog to Wight to get Field of the Dead cooking. So once we have Field of the Dead going, we can sack the zombie tokens it makes to get more lands and keep the chain going, essentially. Hopefully we'll have enough cards in graveyard coming up to play our frog. In fact, maybe we could have, at sorcery speed, sacrifice frog, get a surveil land, put something in our graveyard. That's 3 cards in the graveyard. We could fly our frog. I'm definitely going to do it next turn, but we actually could have done it last turn, which is interesting. So both me and opponent have pretty good board states. Oh, that's a Johnny. That's nice. It's good for them. All right. No Raptor Jesus moment. I'm gonna go ahead and block with Sorin of House Markov, and if they have a removal spell coming through, then I'm just gonna sacrifice it to Wight. This is one of the cool parts about Wight, is you can just make your opponent waste their removal. Oh yeah, you want to do that? No thank you. You do not get extra energy. My opponent loses 1 life to the meat hook. Maybe I should play more meat hooks. This deck ramps a little bit. We could definitely use it. Let's grab another Surveil land. Do we have all of our Surveil lands in play already? Yes, we do actually. Okay. I will instead just grab a Blooming Marsh. That's going to enter the battlefield tapped anyway. We're going to start making Field of the Dead tokens. This is big. This is very big. Take a ping, that's fine.
Nothing is more important than family.
So we just need to either kill this Ajani or prevent it from flipping. We'll figure that part out when we get there. Uh-oh, no. Alright, now this is where it gets tough, guys. I think we do lose here. But we'll play it out a little bit, because we have Meat Hook in play, we have all of our good 2-drops.
Traitors will be punished.
Make a cat, you do 4 damage, that can hit my Wight, yeah. Tough, but at least we can fly our frog soon, which would be very good. They might ping my other frog to death here. Okay. Okay, you get pinged. We can attack down a Johnny, which is really good, actually. I don't know if they realize. So I think we're actually okay. Oh, you're gonna go all in? Sure. Okay, that's tough. So now we can't just attack down a Johnny. We are gaining life. We are gaining life. So it's not the end of the world. Ooh, that's a cool draw. So I think here we're just gonna attack a Johnny. We're gonna try to at least. And then we're gonna make a bunch of little zombies. And hopefully this is enough. I don't know if it will be. And then we can go ahead and like drain them for 2 coming up. With Meat Hook Massacre, like, you know, all our creatures turn into 1 damage when they die, which is interesting. So I always need to keep that in mind. Also, if we draw an Uro at this point in the game, we do just win. Uh-oh, never mind. There's your Deathrite Shaman to end my Uro dreams. Opponent can do a removal spell here. They probably take out Deathrite. Okay. We can go ahead and drain them, maybe. I mean, I think, unfortunately, we're kind of toast here. I don't want to sound like I'm giving up early, but it's hard to beat a Johnny Bombardment. Okay, they get to fly that in and get on the beatdown. I'm hoping to draw Uro, like, right now. That's not an Uro. What's cool is we can attack down this Ajani. What's significantly less cool is that he is just gonna come back. I think we lost. It's kind of Jover, guys.
Betrayed by my own people.
Like, what's gonna happen here? They're gonna play Luris, play Ajani. I can't even Fatal Push Luris. I can't get Revolt. Ajani gets flipped. They gain life, so it's not like I'm even meat hooking them out of the game. I wonder what my outs are. Uro is still a reasonable out if they tap out a green. Toxic, oh yeah, Toxic Deluge would probably still maybe win me the game. It would happen to Johnny Planeswalker in play, but worse things have happened to me. I'm gonna wait for them to flip it and then maybe Fatal Push to Johnny in response. They have like one out here. It's draw a Toxic Deluge in the next turn or two. I know they could just replay a Johnny off of Luris again next turn, but if they try to flip him here, I am actually going to just try to prevent this for one more turn, so hopefully I can draw one of my outs. I know they can replay it next turn, but really I'm hoping to draw something good this turn. I think the game is over if we give them another turn. So they'll sack the Ajani, that's fine. Next turn they get to replay it off of Luris, of course, but we're hoping to draw a Deluge or something very good this turn. We drew something mediocre, so I think that's it. We do have 18 life, so maybe we could have had one more draw step. Oh, but that's a little unfortunate. Well, we learned part of why these decks aren't two-played is that the energy matchup is always going to be really, really tough. Our deck did do some really good things this game. Like, we got to saw Wight was really strong. It ramped us into Field of the Dead. The Frogs ate some removal spells before they could really do much. Maybe I misplayed them. Maybe I shouldn't have played all of them out. I should have left some discards up, perhaps. Uro unfortunately got eaten before I got to hit play, so maybe if this was a build of energy without Deathrite Shaman, like most of them, maybe Uro could have done a bit more work. Field of the Dead is a bit too slow to beat energy, but it is really good against a deck like Control that's going to try to grind you, or something like Blue-Black Tempo that can't go as wide as energy. But yeah, these are things to think about if we try to improve this deck. All right, game two, we're going to be on the draw against Unclaimed Lemon. This seems like a pretty sweet hand. We have a Psychic Frog, we have Interaction, and we do have Once Upon a Time to grab us whatever we want for our third threat, or our third piece of action. We do have a few lands, so if Once Upon a Time whiffs and we only have lands in our top five, then it's going to be a little tough. But other than that, I think this is pretty solid on the draw hand. And our opponent is going to be Shift and Tell Gaming. I have a little bit of a note on Once Upon a Time for all the arena gamers who haven't played with it much since, it's banned card. Note I get priority to cast it like right now on my opponent's turn, and I totally could cast it like right now immediately in response to this Mind Stone. But whenever you have a Once Upon a Time, you want to always wait at least until you take your first draw step before you actually decide to cast it. I'm going to cast it now because even though I might not play a spell until my next turn playing Psychic Frog, what I really want to hit here is a Grief so that I can like pitch Grief using Fatal Push and Reanimate. Okay, we didn't hit that. I will take... I'm going to go ahead and say Bowmaster is going to be a little bit better against Mind Stone. Mind Stone is not a Shift and Tell thing. This might just be Eldrazi, which is super cool. In the case that it is just Eldrazi TM, I'm going to keep up a Fatal Push because they could play something cool like a Thought-Knot Seer. And then we can go ahead and fetch another Surveil land. If they don't play something like a Thought-Knot Seer that screws us up, or any of those cool new Eldrazi. Yeah, it's just Eldrazi. Cool. Yeah, this Flesh Raker, it's gotta go. It's gotta go. So whenever you cast this colorless spell, you get a spawn, and then whenever a creature enters, it deals 1 to each opponent. Pretty cool. Impact Treasures on an Eldrazi. I've seen people talk about this. It's a cool card. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of that. And then we're gonna jam our own Frog. I'd play Bowmasters, but I think the Frog is very, very good when you jam him on turn 2. If my opponent doesn't have a removal spell here, we can just start drawing a gazillion cards. We can also steal their Eldrazi at any point, which is fun. Ooh, Matter Reshaper. Let's go. Eldrazi gaming today. I love it. I'll go ahead and grab a Forest here, just for life loss considerations, because my opponent, at the end of the day, is an Eldrazi aggro deck. Alright, just want to make room for my Psychic Frog to get attacking. It is a permanent card with mana value 3 or less, so you did successfully draw a card off your Matter Reshaper. Good job, opponent. Honestly, I haven't played against this card much. Maybe I shouldn't just snap Fatal Push it because of that line of text on it. Right? They could have just gotten another Eldrazi. Am I stupid? I don't know. Let's go ahead and attack with the Crazy Frog. Draw a card. I can almost reanimate that Reshaper, which is fun. Most of my deck is a permanent with mana value 3 or less. Yeah, actually, I want to reanimate that next turn. I'm going to flash in my Bowmasters now, but if they don't give me a juicier reanimate target, we're totally taking a Mana Reshaper. Okay, Drowner of Truth, yeah. That's a big boy. That's a large lad right there. I'm gonna go ahead and flash in my Bowmasters while we're here. We don't need to go after these little spawns, I think. And that's a Grief. Probably want to just 4-mana Grief them, take their last card. If it's a banger Eldrazi, we can reanimate it next turn. I think I'm cool with that. Pet and fetch here. We don't have another basic we can get with this, unfortunately, so we'll just get like a blue-black, maybe blue-green. Yeah, blue-green, so that we get our second blue and green sources off of this. Then we're just going to full price Grief them. Reanimate the following turn. Maybe reanimating a Matter Resafer. We'll see. This, and of course we're going to jump our frog. I just want to Grief first. Just to clear the way. Right, whoa! Echoes of Eternity, cool. Alright. 1, 2, 3. Get rid of those lands. That frog, he is flying. And then I guess we just have to chump block this for the rest of the game and eventually kill our opponent. We're going to out-card advantage them with the frog in play. If they draw a card off their Mind Stone, we get some Bowmaster pings, which is pretty sweet. So I think we're in an okay position. However, our opponent is playing Haymakers in the 6-7 mana range, and they can afford to cast them. So you're never safe. Never safe. Alright. Ooh, deer. Cool. So now we can just turn Drowner into an elk. Alright, see, this is a matchup where Oko is going to be good, guys. Energy, too fast. Big Stupid Eldrazi? How about Big Stupid Elks? Oh, they drew another. Oh, shit. Guys, that card's good. Alright, yep, we're going to go ahead and, oh dear, Shrink the Drowner. I think before that, I'll go ahead and draw my card. And you know what I'm going to do, actually? Here's a funny one. I'll see if my opponent blocks here. I think they will. Here's a funny little trick that we could do on the YouTube video. My opponent's probably going to block my Grief here. They're probably wondering why I'm attacking. They're going to block it with Drowner. Oh, no, they don't. What I was going to do is hit it, mark 3 damage on it, and then turn it into an elk. Sure, my Grief dies, but it trades for a Drowner, which is pretty cool. I'm going to discard 1 card for 1 damage. We do need to hurry up killing our opponent when they have an Echoes of Eternity in play. Ooh, another reanimate. Very neat. Alright. I turn you into an elk. And then I take a Matter Reshaper, because this card is very cool. And then I get to do the Matter Reshaper thing. Grief is not a permanent with mana value 3 or less. So yeah, we'll just block with our Matter Reshaper if they do decide to attack. And if not, we'll get beating. You don't have mana for that, don't lie to me. Oh wait, you do, yeah, off the spawns. Ah, that's good. So they get to exile 2 things? That's pretty dope. Where's the copy that triggers? Yeah, look at that. Look at him go. I think we still might be able to win this. Which is wild. So they're going to exile Oko Frog? Oh no, they don't go after Oko. I think that might be a mistake, not going after my boy Oko. I will absolutely trade with Matter Reshaper given the opportunity. This is me drawing a card, more or less. Oh, yep. Field of the Dead absolutely goes onto the battlefield. Fatal Push, not going to do anything right now. We can reanimate another card. I think I might just reanimate the Shaper again. We're gonna LQ though.
Oh dear.
And then reanimate Reshaper. Going a little low on life here, but it's not the end of the world. We're gonna chump here, chump and trade is the plan. The issue is my opponent has access to a lot of mana. Oh, double the Scry trigger? Yo, my opponent's cooking. They have access to a lot of mana and this. Oh, maybe another downside of this deck is that it's too dang slow if we're going to try to win with Field of the Dead. Oh, your own Reshaper? Yeah, that's pretty cool. Oh, draw a card? No, I don't think so. I cast Bowmasters. And then I can ping... I mean, we could try to ping the Reshapers, but I don't think that's too productive. I'd rather ping them. Like, sure, I ping Reshapers, but then they draw a card, practically. Okay, let's go ahead and block like this. Draw a card off of our Matter Reshaper. We could choose to Fatal Push one of their Reshapers if we so desire, like if we want to try to swing through for lethal. We can do our once first before we make that decision, I guess. A Wight? That's such a good card right now. That's very good. Okay. Ooh, and a frog? Alright. It's my birthday today. So let's go ahead and... It's funny, we can swap here. Steal a Reshaper. I'm gonna elk one of the Reshapers so that we can kill it safely. And then play out my threats. I feel like I'm taking my dear sweet time too much. Don't think I can attack here. I think we need our blockers back. I think next turn we finally turned a corner once we can untap with Wight and Frog. But of course my opponent can just draw a big stupid and copy it up, so... This is cool though, I'm glad to see it works. Uh-oh. So they copy this up. And they copy up the evoke ability. So it dies, they draw some cards. Oh. Yeah, even I forget what my Bowmasters do sometimes. Would you like to draw more cards, opponent? Alright, that was a very silly ending to the game. Alright, against Eldrazi Gaming, we actually still might want Grief, just because we might want to take their really impactful cards out of their hand, but I also do want, like, the Deluges and such. Maybe we could take some out, like this. Will we want a Meat Hook? Maybe, with them having all those silly little spawns running around. Maybe do something like this. Oko is so strong. We definitely want our Okos. Maybe we just take the Griefs out. We treat this like a normal creature deck. Just put an Abrupt Decays and play like this. We want Harvester too? What's Harvester gonna do? It's just gonna kill a little Eldrazi? It doesn't do anything. 3 or less? No, I don't care about Abrupt Decay, actually. Give me 1 Grief back. Oh, right. Game 2. We cannot keep this, unfortunately. Mana just doesn't work out, but I do see cards I like Oko. Alright, we got a Reanimate, we got a Fatal Push, we got the Meat Hook. We can go ahead and keep this. Meat Hook might be a little slow, but can't have everything in life, as they say. I think we're just going to Surveil turn 1. I wonder if my opponent's going to have like a really explosive mana start last game, because they started with Ugin's Labyrinth Mindstone, which is kind of crazy. And then I think they immediately played a Cavern, so they could have had like an uncounterable Thought Nuts here on turn 2, which is awesome. But if they have that again, I can theoretically push then reanimate it, which would be dope. But if they're not that fast, we're probably going to want to lean on Meat Hook. Oh, they got the ring too? Nice. There's your Ugin's Lab. And they got the same start. Okay. So I'm going to hold up Delta in case they play a 4-drop. We're going to push it. Okay, just more ramp is fine if you're not going to play threats. I mean, I'm scared because they're going to play a really big threat, and we're going to die. Oh, we're going to die. Alright, give me green black. 2 mana. Alright, I have yet to cast a spell, correct? Correctamundo. I'll keep you on top. What? My man is floating. Alright, I do get to cast my free spell. We're looking for a 2-drop. Frog? Yeah, boy. We could also take Uro, which is very strong. What do we think, guys? We want Uro? While we're here? Yeah, I think I'd rather have a Frog to jam onto. If our graveyard was a little bit more full, I would take Uro. Maybe if it was turn 3 instead of turn 2. Our graveyard's full, we have the lands in play already. But if we take Uro there, we're just taking turn 2 off, and we're just looking at our opponent. Staring at them menacingly. Oh, what you got there, opponent? You got all the ramp, but none of the big boys. Get a Dismember? Cozy's command. Yeah, that'll happen. Alright, now they have even more ramp. We're gonna meat hook them down. Alright, clear them out. Alright, if my opponent's smart, they'll sack them all now in response and not let me gain 4 life. Yeah, there you go. But I do prevent them from playing like a 7-drop or something crazy next turn, which is good. No 7-drops in the graveyard, though. I would have loved that. I want to reanimate an Eldrazi. Please, opponent, let me do it. I guess I can... I don't want to reanimate that. It's not good. I don't think so. Let's go ahead and Once Upon a Time here. Wight, pretty strong right now when we're getting into a later game situation. I also feel like they might crack this Mind Stone, so actually I'm going to take Bowmasters. But now they know not to crack the Mind Stone, I guess. At least I'm preventing them from doing it by just staring at them menacingly. Another Mind Stone, sure. Yeah, I take 1. And I don't want them to be able to crack these Mind Stones for free. I'm just going to pass again. I might be a little too conservative here. Okay, so we can deluge the board. That's interesting. I'm going to go ahead and pass back. Yeah, I guess we take 2 damage and then we try to deluge next turn. Go ahead and Verdant. Hopefully we hit something like an Uro or an Oko that's good late game. That's right. That's good for after deluge, right? I would say so. Alright, I think we're just going to deluge on 2 here. A little excessive just to deluge this Flesh Breaker and nothing else, but we make the life back with our Meat Hook at least. Then we'll pass the turn. Trying to catch them drawing off of Mind Stone, but it's not working. Maybe I should have just jammed Bowmasters 10 turns ago. Let's play our 2 Deathrite Shamans and try to accomplish something here. There's no other creatures in graveyards for me to reanimate. I'm not interested in reanimating a 3-mana 2/2 more or less. Alright, return the exiled card to its owner's hand. Yeah, about that. Someone gets a 7-drop coming up. But what's cool is that we can slam Bowmasters in response. Okay, Fleshraker, yeah, that's a card. Okay. Alright, no real target for reanimate still. So I think we're just chilling. I'm just going to start activating my Shamans every turn, and then hopefully it leads to a slow victory. Dang, this deck is slow. I knew this was going to be a slow deck when I put it together, but dang, I was hoping that, like, Psychic Frog and Friends could take it somewhere in terms of speed. I need Revolt. I very much need Revolt. When they cast this, it'll probably give me a Revolt. Yep, they're gonna cast this. It's gonna exile maybe my Shaman, maybe my Meat Hook. Meat Hook is probably pretty annoying for them. It kind of turns off their Flesh Rakers. So this trigger goes first, which means I can Fatal Push soon. So this trigger resolves. Resolve. Then we Fatal Push. Hitting this. And now we can let the rest of the triggers go through. Actually, we could play our Bowmasters now, before they can sack their Mind Stones or anything fun. I think I mind gamed a little too hard trying to hold up Bowmasters for Mind Stone activation. And now we can just start activating our Death Hearts like crazy. Go ahead, exile your thing. Gain a life. Exile your other thing, you lose 2 life. And then hopefully reanimate something. Really not interested in reanimating a Flesh Raker. Alright, ooh, Wight, that's fantastic. Alright. That's gonna go somewhere. If we go ahead and get Field of the Dead right now, it's gonna make us zombies. Which is not very much against Big Eldrazi, I guess. Alright, let's go ahead and jump. Let's go ahead and do the same thing. Get rid of a sorcery to drain them. Let's get rid of their creature to gain some life. And then it's going to be the slow death by paper cuts for our opponent. One would hope. What you got there? Oh. Exile all graveyards, you say? Huh. Wow. Alright. Forgot about that. My grounds have been scavenged. I repeat, they have been scavenged. Alright, let's actually go ahead and sorcery speed grab Field of the Dead so that we can get another land drop with the swamp here. Oh, my opponent can crack their Mind Stones now. Oops. Hey, remember that mind game? I should have sacked a Shaman, since they're more or less turned off. I'm gonna get my Bowmasters back here, though. It'll turn off a lot of their outs, like the One Ring. God damn. Oh, never mind. They don't crack their Mind Stone. Alright, neat. Alright, so now I think we're in a winning position. We could just make endless zombies to chump with. And eventually attack with. Oh, that's gonna be a lot of pings, though. Yikes! A lot of pings. Null Drifter? Yeah, I get a lot of pings. I'll take it. You want to draw too? This isn't quite a kill on me, but it's very close. We hit this. But like if they have any other stupid Eldrazi, they can play it as a kill. My Meat Hook, I need it. I need it back. It's exiled. Maybe this deck should play more Meat Hooks. This card is so dope. We're only playing the 1 copy. I think it should be 2, maybe 3. Alright, so we're at 2. 2 more Eldrazi, I die. Yeah. Or any Eldrazi that brings a friend with it also kills me. The One Ring. Hey, that also pings me? Dang. Forgot about that. Alright, so we're at 1. We're chilling. Actually, I don't die because they put creatures in their own graveyard. So we can eat them. So we're chilling for a little bit. Not forever, just for a tiny bit of time. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and eat your creatures. What a game. Imagine if we drew another Bowmaster. That would be sweet. Fatal Push, that's certainly something. We probably want to kill their Flesh Raker with the Fatal Push, but we can wait until their turn to do it. We could sack a zombie, get another Field of the Dead. We could do it at instant speed on their turn, so we're going to go ahead and wait for that. Okay. On your end step, I will get Field of the Dead number 2, and I will attempt to go wider than you. I'll also take out your Flesh Raker. Big zombies. We have Revolt, so goodbye Flesh Raker. And then we're going to go ahead and activate our 2. Well, we really don't have much to activate on, but we can at least drain our opponent for 2. Once we're given the opportunity to do so. It'll push on the Flesh Raker. And then we'll do a quick little drain gain over here. Drain gain. We are kind of disabling our own Uro by going after our own graveyard so aggressively. Maybe that's something to consider. Ooh, that frog. That's a cool one. Okay, so maybe chill on going after our own graveyard so aggressively. If we're going to want to connect with frog ever. Uh-oh. Alright, well, they have potential to double Eldrazi starting very soon. We can go ahead and grab a Surveil land here, which is very powerful. And then with a Surveil land, we can fix our next draw and fill our graveyard for future Uros and friends. Also just for jumping Psychic Frog, like we said. My opponent is floating all of their mana. This is not... whatever. Ooh, put Uro into the graveyard? That is sweet. Okay. Yeah, so we're not going to do anything there. So what we could do, it's interesting. We can go ahead and just attack with Psychic Frog as it stands. That would cost us our Uro. Or we can work towards... Yeah, we can work towards Uroing. Let's work towards Uroing, perhaps. Oh, if we attack with our frog, it's more damage now. How many more cards would I need for Uro? I need 3 more, right? If we include discarding this shaman. It is a lot. We can get 1 into the bin with Wight. Yeah, I think we could just draw more cards here. Let's get rid of the Uro. Yeah, it kind of pains me to do this, but we're just going to fly our frog. We're going to draw another card. We're going to get deeper into our deck. Even if we just draw a land, we're going to have an army of zombies to attack with next turn, which is big. Fatal Push is actually really mid. I don't think it does anything on the board right now. I might even sack Shaman to my Wight here. Oh, it doubles these triggers? Whoa. Double life loss. Freaky. Okay, that is very freaky by my opponent. I want my Uro back. Your Honor, I would like my Uro back. Okay, they let me sack my Bowmasters and Frog here. Go ahead, sack the Frog. Go ahead and grab any land at this point. I guess we go ahead and grab a fetch so that we can double up our Field of the Dead. Take a copy of that. Can't Fatal Push it, unfortunately. We get to draw some cards. Oh my, what a game. Karn? Uh-oh. Oh, they get a token Karn? Wait, that's so dope. Alright, I think they win at this point. Alright, they'll just legend roll it, of course, because it doesn't have like that Obnixless bit of text on it that says like this token is not legendary. I think we'll run it back. I kind of want Griefs. I do want Griefs. So Deluge is also a good way to deal with their board. I think we keep it like this. I do really want those Griefs, though. Maybe we want Needle instead of Grief, just so that we can name Ring and name Karn. Like this. Let's try it. Alright, game 3. Against Eldrazi Gaming. We got a nice hand where we can curve 2 into 3 when we're on the play, and we have once upon a time. Hopefully this finds like a Deathrite Shaman or something so that we have the ultimate killer curve. Even if it just finds another 2-drop, that's totally good. Alright, So both opponent and I cast our free spells. I'll take the Bowmasters here. But we're going to have a Wight into Oko curve out, which is pretty sweet. We can even do Uro next if we want to ramp more. Actually, I might do that. Is that better than turn 3 Oko? Yeah, actually, I think that's better, because then turn 4 we'll have ramp, so we could probably play Bowmasters and Oko in the same turn. Yeah, that's how we're going to do it. We're going to go this into this, sack this when it's triggers on the stack. Unless my opponent goes really crazy. Wow, again, they had Oogie's Labyrinth into Mind Stone every game. That's cool. Ooh, so that gives me another option. We can now go Frog into Oko, or do we want to go Wight into Uro? Two options. I think we have a pretty good shot at escaping Uro this game, so let's go Wight into Uro here. Another Oogie's Labyrinth, so they're going to have 5 mana. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and shock in. I'll hold this just in case they cast their crazy enchantment again. I'm going to attack for 2 first. Hopefully I don't get owned by a Dismember. And if I do, then I'll just play Uro, or play Oko instead of Uro. Alright, and full control here. Full control, please. Game, thank you. Play my Uro. Sack you. Let's put a Surveil land into play, and then we can even Surveil our draw right now, which is pretty dope. Edge Maze. I think I want to bin almost anything, just so that Uro gets to escape ASAP. You know, we can put this into play, and then play a Deathrite Shaman, just put as much pressure on as possible. So next turn we go 2-drop plus Oko. Seems pretty good. So they could play their 6-drop enchantment, which would make me feel pretty stupid for playing this Boseiju out. It'd be funny if it happened. And then we'll play our lame little Oko. Oh my god, they do it. Ah, he always gets got. Always punished, as they say. Alright, that's fine. We can go ahead and I think we're going to saturate our mana here, so let's attack with everything. You're going to play our Oko? Oh dear.
I'll shear the wool from your eyes and spin you.
And play a Frog. So even if they have their best thing, which is like Devourer of Destiny, copy up the trigger, I have like 3 really high priority targets, so they'll only be able to get rid of 2 of them, which is good. Yeah, wow, they have it again. Nice. So if they target Frog, we can just sacrifice it. Same with Deathrite Shaman. I think the correct targets here are Wight plus Oko. Let's see if they figure that out. They're thinking about it. Okay, yeah, they do that. Now the question is, do I want to get more mana into play? I think the answer is yes. I think the answer is, let's fill our graveyard for Uro, because he's almost back. Let's get the guaranteed Field of the Dead, because we're at 6 now. There goes Oko.
Fair.
Yeah, and they get 2 6/6s. All right, so we're almost there. Almost there on our Uro. I don't want to fly our Frog because that's tension with Uro, so I think we're just going to play Deathrite and pass. Next land we draw starts making zombies, which is awesome. And if we do decide to chump block, we can get Uro back. And that's a nice 6/6 to mirror their stuff. Oh my. Yeah, my opponent's going to make a lot of stuff here. I think what we're going to do is we're going to eat our food and then Fatal Push this. Yummy. Just to minimize the amount of damage we're going to take. And now we're only 1 spell off of Uro, so I might even like chump with something here. Make sure that can happen. Ooh, Karn? That's troublesome. Karn is a problem. Wait, Glaring Fleshraker goes hard with Echoes. I want to build this deck next for fun. I don't know if it's going to be good, but we're going to have fun. This does seem very fun. I'm going to think about it. I mean, these are all MH3 cards, right? And I have all of them in my collection. So, I think This is cool. I might try this next. Not promising it's a good deck, but I do want to try some fun stuff before I lose my mind playing energy every day for the rest of my life. The poor thing. He's a competitive player. He consigned himself to playing nothing but Mardu energy until the end of days. I'm going to chump here. With this chumpage, we will be able to get Uro back, which is very powerful. My opponent gets their very powerful thing into play too, though. So, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, ooh, that's good. Zombie. Zombie. Winnable? I don't know, is it winnable, guys? They have such a crazy board. They have Karn they can get whatever they want with. They have an Echoes in play. Also, I'm wondering, what's the difference between this and a historic deck? What's the timeless pull of this? I guess play cards like Swords to Plowshares to prop up your deck. They have Path, but I'm sure they have Swords too if they're playing that. You also play Unnerfed One Ring. I never remember what cards are nerfed in the other format because I don't play it. Alright, my opponent's sacking tokens for some reason, and I'm a little concerned when I see that. Okay, yep, my opponent's gonna make more tokens. More triggers. We have a lot of life gain, but my opponent's got a lot of damage. Let's copy and Legend Rule the Monument. They keep the token one for fun. So now they have some big spawns. And Karn gets another friend.
All assistance.
Oh my god, look at this. I like my opponent's deck. I'm gonna let them play it out because this is so cool. Like, we lose this game, but this is dope. Look at that. Giant Wormcoil token, 8/8. Numbers aren't rendering properly. Arena. Yep, and there's a battery shaper getting it copied up. Oh, and we died to pings now, don't we? Yeah, we're plenty dead to pings. That's a GG. Alright, so what did we learn here? We learned a couple things. We learned that slow strategies like this are going to get run over by Timeless and even get crushed by off-meta jank, right? There are some decks that this can beat up a combo deck by playing just a bunch of discard. I did beat up like Rakdos Scam, but that's another deck that's similar to this one. We did see some really powerful interactions. We saw Wight had a lot of individual strength. We saw Frog was pretty decent, though it usually was answered on sight, but it's a strong card regardless. We saw a lot of the strengths of cards like Oko against slower decks. We saw, I don't want to call Field of the Dead strong. We certainly did a Field of the Dead thing, but I think it ended up not mattering. By the time you're on turn 7, I don't think a 2/2 really matters. And the Field of the Dead is a really powerful card, and it's really cool that you just put like one copy, maybe two, in your Wight of the Reliquary deck and just have access to it, which is awesome. So I think Wight is an underrated card. I hope people do brew with it, but unfortunately, this deck wasn't it. We did get like a tough matchup in Energy today, of course, and I was hoping to clobber a control deck with Field of the Dead. I was hoping to get against a combo deck so that we could just like Thoughtseize Grief Surgical them out of the game. But I guess this video goes to show the current state of midrange in Timeless. It's very tough to make it work. I wish I could play with Oko still. Trust me, he's been the channel profile pick since I made it, right? I picked this guy to be the profile pick. He's a cool card. He's a very famous card in Timeless, but unfortunately, he just gets run over by energy, like you saw before. And the slow decks that he can do something against, like the Eldrazi off meta deck that we played, they could just go bigger than him. It's tough. It's a tough life out here for Oko and Uro and Field of the Dead, which are some notorious busted cards. Once Upon a Time was really good too, by the way. There's just not that many green decks in Timeless right now, but please keep this card in the back of your mind. This card's so good. Like if you're already playing green cards, it's not worth splashing green for it, but like if you're in green and you're playing mostly a creature strategy like this, please feel free to include it in your deck. I think it's it for thoughts on me. We only got 2 games in the video because they were pretty long games where we just had like the fair deck slapfest back and forth, which was very fun. The fun games, but unfortunately, this deck doesn't quite have it. You're not going to lose every game with this. I played this a little bit by myself before recording, and we definitely did win some games. But like I said, the decks that you're going to beat are other scam decks because you're in a Oko deck, so you will outgrind them in the late game. Same with Field of the Dead will help you outgrind them in the late game. Will win against control decks somewhat often because you have Uro and Field of the Dead, and you will also have a decent game against combo decks just by the merit of having Thoughtseize, Grief, and Surgical Extraction in your deck. So let me know if you have any thoughts. Let me know if you've queued up with a deck like this. Let me know if I just misplayed to crap and I should have won all 6 games. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Maybe we'll build that Eldrazi deck next for fun. It looks pretty sweet. I want to try to do a fun deck for once in a while rather than just trying to build a meta crap with the same 3 cards over and over again. So maybe look out for that video. I'll see you then.